Good morning, fam. I want to bring something out to you. I know we all done read this scripture, but every time we read, God will show us something different in the text. We all know the story about Abraham and Lot. We done read it a dozen times. This morning I saw something, and I just want to share it with you. Remember the scripture that talked about God told Abraham that he was going to be blessed, and that anybody that blesses him would be blessed, and anybody that curses him would be cursed. And we know that, when Abraham got up and left his father's land, he took, him, his wife, his substance, all the people, all the souls that he had gathered in Haran, and he took Lot and his wife and, all the souls that, he had gathered in Haran, and then they went. They started going. They sojourned. They started sojourning, and then they ended up in the land of Canaan. Now, when they ended up in the land of Canaan, they had great substance by the time they got there. By the time they got there, they had great substance. So when I saw that, Lot was truly blessed because he was following Abraham. And I'm going to pause there for a second. Sometimes in life, you can marry a person, and because you're blessed or they're blessed, either way it goes, that person that married you would be blessed also because you're blessed. I'm saying, if you're blessed and you marry a person, that person that marries you will be blessed also because you're blessed. And it goes for the church as well. Sometimes you can be in a church, and because the head is right, the head is following God, and the head is doing what's right, that man of God can be blessed. So therefore, the church will be blessed. You being a part of that church, you will be blessed also. Right? Because the blessings come down. Now, I started reading in chapter 13 of Genesis. And I read something, and I was like, oh, okay, I see it. Sometimes you can have people in your corner that don't go to church. And because they don't believe, they will draw you away from your blessing. They will draw you away from your blessing. They don't go to church, but you still friends with the people. You still like the people, Sometimes you can be with people, even a spouse. Even a spouse. Because I'm going to use spouse and church. You can be with people. You can be married to a person. And because they don't believe, sometimes they can draw you away from where you are being blessed. Same thing with the church. Sometimes when you're in a church and you're around people that don't believe or may not go to church, they can draw you away from where you're being blessed. The scripture reads in verse 6, and the land was not able to bear them that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abraham and Lot. So now Abraham's herdmen and Lot's herdmen had a strife. Instead of Lot and Abraham talking to these men, because they weren't brethren, I don't think, both of their herdsmen, I don't think they were brethren. I think the scripture says Abraham and Lot were brethren. So instead of them talking to them to squash the strife, Abraham went to Lot and said, let there not be any strife amongst me and you, because we are brethren. But these herdmen, and this is the key word right here, when you got people that don't understand that you are being blessed because of this person, or maybe because you are in this church, when you got people that don't understand, they're not going to be able to see how to resolve their issue so that you can stay in the place where you are being blessed. They're not going to be able to see it. And because maybe and I'm just saying maybe you want to get out and do something else. Maybe you want to get out and do something else. And you listen to that without even consulting God, and it causes you to get yourself in a situation that you're going to need that same church or that same person to get you out of. And the reason why I say that is because when we read chapter 13, we know what Lot did. Okay? They could no longer dwell together. The herdsman had strife. Lot looked up and saw the plain of Jordan, saw that it was well watered, and he went there. Now, Lot himself forgot that he was also being blessed because he was connected to Abraham. So what did he do? He looked out. There go the lust of the eyes. He looked out, saw the plain of Jordan, saw that it was well watered, and decided to go there. Now I ask myself, why didn't Lot just go to Abraham and say, Abraham, I know the Lord is with you, and I don't want to go into no territory without God's blessing? Why didn't he do that? This is what I believe. When God blesses people, they forget God. They forget how they were blessed. They forget who blessed them. They go and they do their own thing. Because remember, in that scripture, the land that he chose to go to, that land was also the land of Sodom and Gomorrah. That land that he chose, that land was also a part of Sodom and Gomorrah. So when I read that scripture, I said, why didn't Lot just go to Abraham and ask Abraham before he decided to go, Abraham, can you consult the Lord? Because I know the Lord is with you. Can you seek the Lord on my behalf, and wherever God tells me to go, I will go. He didn't do that because we get forgetful. Lot was blessed because of Abraham. Lot was not blessed because of himself. Lot was blessed because of Abraham. Lot knew that Abraham talked with the Lord. He knew it. You come from a land where you probably have 2 sheep, 3 cows, 2 horses, and maybe 4 or 5 servants. By the time you finish your travel and you end up into the destination, you end up with 60 horses, 170 sheep, 150 souls. You end up with more abundance because you follow this man that was blessed by God. So why wouldn't you consult that man's God to give you instruction on where you need to go? Why am I saying all this today? Because remember, the scriptures is written for our learning. Why am I saying this today? Some people in this world are truly blessed. And just because you are connected with those people, God will bless you too. God will bless you too. You have a man that has been blessed by God. You may not know it, but you end up marrying that man. And because that man is blessed, you'll be blessed. Same thing for a woman, brothers. You marry a woman that's been blessed by God, you may not know it. But because she's blessed, you will be blessed. But what happens to us in life is the lust of the eyes. We depart from under our blessing. We depart from under our blessing and we go out, do our own thing because of the lust of the eyes. We see. Now, mind you, when Lot was with Abraham, he was blessed. The minute he allowed the lust of the eyes to convince him that this land is nice, is well watered, is what I need, instead of going back to Abraham and consulting Abraham to ask God, where would you prefer me to go? Because you see that we cannot dwell together. Where, Lord, can I go? Instead of him doing that, the lust of the eyes convinced him to go into a land that was going to be destroyed. Now, mind you, all that he had was destroyed. All that he had obtained was destroyed. Y'all don't get it. When you are in a place and you are being blessed, don't let other folk convince you to walk out of your blessing. You are being blessed. You're in a church and you are being blessed in that church. Don't let other folks, outsiders, convince you to leave that church. Plain. The plain reading of scripture. God will show you what not to do. Now, if you decide, like some folks, they decide they want to move to a different city, so they may not be able to attend their assembly. Okay, go to the man of God and ask that man of God, is that the right thing for you to do? Because sometimes, because what we see, remember, the lust of the eyes. In this life, we're going to have the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. And when we allow that to take over and rule our mind, everything that looks good is not going to be good for us. Everything that looks good. That plain, it looked good because it was well watered. He had a lot of sheep. He had a lot of, probably a lot of rams and he-goats and she-goats and camels and all that stuff. He had a lot of that, so he had a lot of animals. So the animals had to be watered. Plus, they needed it for their drinking water too, right? So it looked good to the eyes. It looked good to the eyes. But did he consult Abraham to go to God? Yes or no? And all that he obtained while he was with Abraham, it was destroyed. It was destroyed. So don't let people, I'm telling you, sometimes you can be in a position and be well favored by God. And you can listen to a person and they pull you right out of your blessing, cause you to make a bad decision. And that decision is going to cost you. That decision may cost you your peace. That decision may cost you your health. Some people jump up and move somewhere, and the minute they move, probably a year or two later, their health is failing them. And then they have to say, why is this going on? I was good where I was at. Sometimes listening to people will cause you to miss out. You can land that good job, making 20, 30,000 more than what you were making in the area where you were originally blessed. Yeah, you can land that good job, but guess what? You don't know that the minute you land that job, because it has happened to me, when you land that job making 20, 30,000 more than what you're making, 2 years, 3 years down the road, that company's going to be sold. We don't see. See, we only can see what's in front of us. That's all we can see. All we can see is what is in front of us. God sees the end of a matter. So it's better for us to always go to God. Don't let the people in this world convince you to walk out of your blessing. Where you're at today, and I'm talking to you sisters. I'm saying sisters because it has happened to me. I've done it. If you are single, most of us that are single, most of us, not all of us, but most of us, if we're single, let's say you're divorced, let's say you are divorced, let's say you are a widow, and now you're single again. Most of us still desire a husband. We do. But don't you let people pick your mate. And when you let people pick your mate, they gonna pick something that you don't want. This ties all the way back in that scripture. I'm telling you, look at what the herdmen did. Look at what the herdmen did. Abraham's herdmen and Lot's herdmen, they had strife. They couldn't get along. That was the problem. Lot listening to his herdmen. Instead of trying to resolve the issue first, resolve the conflict between those two so you can have some thinking time to yourself. Then you can go to the person that is being blessed and ask them to consult God. See, you need thinking time. A lot of us make a decision because of the strife that's going on, and we make instantaneous decisions. And when we do that, we end up messing ourselves up. Lot messed himself up. Look at today, fam. Look at your life today. Who have gotten in your ear gates, convinced you that this person, I'm saying male and female, and I'm using them as an example. Somebody done told you, oh, this is a good man. Y'all sisters get up with that joker, marry that joker, find out that you in hell. Brothers, you do the same thing. Because these people don't really know the heart of people. They only know what they see these people do. But they don't know the heart. Same thing with church. You in a church. You in a ministry. People from another congregation convince you to leave your church where you're being blessed. You jump up and go to their church and all hell breaks loose. The congregation upset with the pastor. The bishop sleeping with the usher in the church. All hell breaks loose. Don't let people convince you to walk outside of where you're being blessed. You need time. When people get in your ear gates, you need time to think first. Then you need time to pray. You need time to think. Don't be so quick and jump up outside of your blessing where you are being blessed because of people. Don't let people convince you to walk outside of your blessing where you're being blessed. You got people all day long want to get in your ear gates and convince you to walk outside of the will of God for your life. And then when you do that, guess where they at? They're going to start talking about you then. I know. The key in that scripture in chapter 13, the key that I found in that chapter, always seek God before you make a decision. That's the key. Always seek God before you make a decision. And wait on the response. That was the moral of that story to me. Always seek God. Because you can look and see that something look good. Just because by sight it looks good. But the end of the matter, it may not be good for you. It wasn't good for Lot to go to the plain of Jordan, where Sodom and Gomorrah was. Because it says in verse 11. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. And we all know what happened after that. The moral of that story, to me, always seek God before you make a decision. No matter what nobody say. If you know somebody, you in a ministry, you got a good pastor. You got a good man of God that obeys God, that follows the scriptures, that teaches the scriptures according to how the scriptures were written. And you know that's a man of God. You see his life. You see what he do. You see how he worship God. You see how he treats his wife. You see how he treats his children. And you know that's a true man of God. I'm saying a true man of God. Because you got a lot of folks out here today playing and pretending. You know that's a true man of God. You go to that man of God. You go to that man of God. You pray too. Don't just depend on people. You go to that man of God. Whatever decision you have, whatever decision, you pray first. You go to that man of God. Ask that man for counsel. Because nowadays, people don't want to be counseled. They think they know what they want to do. And they do it and mess their life up. I'm telling you, go to the man of God. Only if you know that he's true. Go to the man of God. You pray. You pray first. Because if you pray first, and then you go to that man, and you ask that man for advice or suggestion, or his opinion, not advice, but his opinion, and ask him to pray for you. I'm telling you, if whatever it is you want to do, if it's in the will of God and it's in your best interest, you're going to have some type of confirmation. Then you go and do it, whatever it is. So anyway, that's all I got for you today, family. I just thought it was very interesting because we read the Bible, and every time we read the Bible, we can get something new. We can get some clarity. We can get something new every time we go in it. And I just briefly read that chapter, and I got that. Always seek God before you make any decision. All right? Love your family.